Passed along?
The what?
The notebook, did it get passed along? Oh, there it is, okay. Thank you. Oh, Ed, you did.
What am I doing? What else am I doing?
Sorry, what's your name?
Silence.
Hey, I'm Brian Forcier.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good. How about you?
Loving days like today.
You're singing at work, so you gotta be good.
What's not to like about 3 people in the waiting room?
Oh, thank you. Let me get that going. All right.
I got
Can you contact?
Hey.
And on the second. It's 5:59. I'm ahead of schedule. No violation. No.
Yeah, I'm not sure my screen.
It being 6 o'clock, I called the select board meeting to order. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda?
Yes. Am I doing these?
I can do it. We have 2 non-publics under 91-0:3C. Both are C.
They'll be at the end, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to new business. The department head report with, sorry, I'm going to do my best there, Ed Matone.
That's good. Pretty close.
The code compliance agent.
Hey, good evening. Not much to report. I want to say that I am enrolled in a code enforcement workshop it's actually in 2 weeks on the 11th with the New Hampshire Municipal Association. So looking forward to that. And then the other thing was I provided a little packet I want to make as an intro to the businesses as I go out and approach each one. So in there is about 7 or 8 pages of information, introduction, kind of a beginner's intro to the water protection ordinance. So the plan is to meet and greet each business owner and provide them with that packet. Explain, and inside that packet there's also a self-inspection / survey. Give them an opportunity to look at their business, check the things off on the list, and then when I come back for the official inspection, we can go over what they put down on their survey, and we can do an official inspection and see where we are. So I'm looking forward to doing that as soon as it's approved that what is in there is appropriate. And then also debating whether or not to wait until I do this training in 2 weeks before I make any approach to the business, see if there's anything I can glean from the training.
I was just going to ask if maybe you would want to wait and bring it with you. Sometimes at those trainings they do, kind of simulations, or you have to do like a little assignment where you create something for feedback. I mean, I don't think 2 more weeks is...
No, I didn't think...
it looked good. I also just think whenever you can trim things...
Right, and I kept that in mind
concise,
too, trying to just keep it simple, but
Yep.
at some point you can't cut too much.
I know,
away.
there's a lot you're trying to cover.
So,
How long's the training?
it's a 4-hour block.
Yep.
Other than that, I've reached out to a Tara Schroeder, Green Mountain, and she provided me a wealth of points of contacts and some information that I've been reviewing, so I'm going to add it to my repertoire.
Great.
So, but looking forward to hitting the street and start to interview and inspect the businesses.
Yeah.
So.
Have you gotten any feedback after the letter and the pamphlet went out? Has anybody contacted you kind of proactively? You don't have to say who it is. I'm just wondering if you've gotten any feedback.
No, nobody's reached out. I think we had one business reaching out just to say that they're not, you know, doesn't apply to them type of thing. Other than that, no.
Okay.
I thought the packet was nicely written, put together, informative.
Oh, appreciate it. Yeah.
Yep.
And if there's a tweak, I mean, been brought up, a few things were brought up. That first page is basically what the planning board put together.
Right.
So I kind of wanted just to provide that as like, if you missed it, this is it.
Yeah.
But if you think it needs to be updated as far as the date on it, or,
The two different dates on the two different pages is one thing that did throw me. There's one that's
Okay.
2020 and that's 2023 on your first page.
Yep.
okay.
So I don't know, I mean.
Well, like I said,
formatting
that was the planning board's
Right.
Yeah.
creation, and I just provided it as is, but I can update it to make it.
My thought if it was just attached as an addendum in the documentation,
Okay.
so it was clear that it was supporting documentation, it might make it, because I thought, wait, did I miss something? Like,
Okay,
that-
okay.
that was just my first reaction.
Okay. And that's all I have.
Yeah.
All right,
Great.
thanks.
Do we need a motion to
Oh,
accept?
accept
Or
that packet, you mean?
as amended, or do you want to?
I think we're gonna wait till he goes through the training.
Okay.
We just said, yeah. If that's, you feel all right with that? I mean, another 2 weeks is probably okay, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Any questions for Ed while he's here? Thank
No,
you for
thanks.
coming in
That's a
tonight.
lot, that's a lot of work, so that's great.
No, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sit around a little bit.
We'll move on to the Shakora Route 16 traffic concerns, the intersection conditions, and the crosswalk. Who's?
I think I'm taking the lead on this. So I spent the week talking to lots of people, and Richard Roberts and Dana Littlefield are going to chime in if they want to, if I miss something or misrepresent our conversations. So there are 2 points right now that have come forward in the past couple of weeks. Well, they've come up lots of times in recent and past history, but they've come back to us recently. One is concern about the safety of the intersection on Route 16 where Deer Hill comes down, Page Hill comes down, joins up with 16. Kind of tied into that conversation is questioning about the crosswalk that is there connecting the dam side of the road with kind of the end of, what's that little road?
Reynolds Hall Lane.
Runnels Hall Lane. And then the other separate issue of concern that's really been ongoing, and we've been kind of brainstorming our way around this, is speed and safety on Page Hill. So there have been kind of ongoing community conversations on the Tamworth exchange. I think different town officials have been contacted by townspeople expressing concern. And so I started looking into things by talking to Bill Lambert from DOT, talking to Richard Roberts, talking to Dana Littlefield. I did not get to talk to Dave Jeffords from Lakes Region Planning Commission. I'll get into why he'd be relevant in a minute. So a number of years ago, 2006, 2007, a study was done about that section of highway in Shakarawa, and the recommendation that was thrown around at the time was that a roundabout would be appropriate for slowing traffic. Because at the time the damn ice cream shop was still there, and I don't remember if Roger Elliott still had it or if it had already been sold. He still had it. So there was a functioning gas station, kind of kitty-cornered to the intersection. Lots of reasons. And then the bridge is right there, and the slope of the land coming down from Deer Hill made a roundabout at the time with that kind of design technology not appropriate. So fast forward to now, and so different measures have been talked about, and some things have been tried as far as slowing traffic. My conversation with Bill Lambert was pretty extensive, and this is what it comes down to. Traffic flows at the speed that traffic flows, and traffic flows based on, we just had this conversation months ago about South Tamworth. It flows based on the road conditions and people's perception of the road conditions. We as people in Tamworth see Chicago Village as a village. When you're speeding through, coming up from Massachusetts headed to skiing, you don't perceive that as a village. It's not like driving through here where the road really narrows up and buildings are closer and you can see a tighter space. The visual sight lines don't hem you in. The road, it's perceived as wide, flat, drivable. The only way that Bill thinks that we can slow traffic is to look into a roundabout. Since 2006, new design models, they're not all circular. They have elongated engineered designs now where traffic comes in not directly at like right angles to each other. So you can have offsets coming in. He doesn't know, he's not an engineer. He said William Rose is DOT's engineer planner. And he was going to reach out to him to see if, given the fact that real estate has changed, that a building's actually gone, whether that's a possibility. He doesn't know what else really is going to work there. He also said that DOT works based on a series of 10-year plans. So if you have a project that you want to be engaged in by DOT, you have to have a 10-year plan proposal submitted and accepted. There's limited money available, and the plans that get quickest attention are those in regions where you have a history of fatalities. And that intersection doesn't fall into that litmus. Thankfully, it doesn't.
Are you serious?
That's what he said, that there aren't fatalities in that intersection.
Well, years ago, when I was growing up, there was a lot, Carl, you know this, there was a lot of fatalities there.
Well, then maybe that needs to get brought to DOT's attention, because that's not what...
There was a lot of them.
I'm quoting him. I'm telling you, this is what DOT's saying. So we have not submitted anything to any proposal to a 10-year plan to DOT to have them start thinking about looking at that section. There's no section of Tamworth that's part of a DOT 10-year plan. The closest thing right now, there's something in the Ossipee area, and then Madison and Albany has a stretch, mostly in Albany because of recent fatalities there. So if we want that area to be looked at by DOT seriously, then what our option is to create a 10-year plan project, that's their lingo, which is having them look at that intersection and see what the possibilities are. The trick is, Dave Jeffers at LRPC is the project plan coordinator right now. These plans go in through the regional planning commissions, so LRPC is ours. The deadline is June 28th. So if that's something we want to look at, it's an annual deadline, we would have to talk to Dave Jeffers pretty quickly, see what this entails, and see where we're going to go. Let me just get through. Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. So, it's a state road. We have to work with DOT. And if this is what they're saying our option is, this is what our option is. So if we feel that that this is something that we really want to pursue, I don't mind calling Dave Jeffers and finding out what this entails, like what creating a project for the 10-year plan entails. Now, you also have to know it's a 10-year plan. Funding gets allocated along the way. You know, this might not come to fruition for years now, but at least we'd be in the line to have them do an assessment. It also sounds like what that means is they might come, us getting into that 10-year plan might be an assessment, and they might still come up with the fact that they don't have a way to slow traffic there. So that's the intersection part. things have been tried in the past, and Dana can correct me about this. So there is the crossing walk there, and it was 2009, 2020. When did you get permission to put those?
That was just 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So one thing that was tried to slow traffic in through the village was to put these in-road, I don't remember what the technical word is for them. Stanchions that, say people can be in crosswalks, slow down. And after talking to Dana about that, he said that they just get hit by cars over and over and over again. People don't slow for them.
They don't. All we spent was time repairing them.
Yeah.
People just mowed them, tractor trailers, everybody did.
Yeah.
It was a waste of time and money. It didn't slow anybody down. It didn't cause anybody to, yield to the people in the crosswalks. And they're expensive.
Yeah.
They are.
So that had been one of the suggestions for a visual slowing that, and again, all I can do is quote Bill Lambert, who said, somebody had asked him, written to him or called him and asked about putting in speed bumps on 16. He's like, that's never going to happen. It's a main highway. They just don't do it.
Yeah.
Becky?
I don't know how long Bill Lambert's been in office, I'm trying to remember, but the Department of Transportation, when the Chicago project was put together, was consulted on that whole thing. And that's how they ended up with they had to approve the parking lots with the parking spaces with the sidewalk and everything. So I'm surprised he's talking roundabout again, because that Chicago project was all that block grant money that was done.
But I think it's two different things, right? I mean,
Well,
so
no,
one is...
because it entailed the park across the street, the cistern there, the whole...
No, I know that, but
yard.
I'm saying the issue we're bringing up to him now is speed and safety, not how to make that a village setting.
It was the same discussion when the Chicago project was done, because they were putting a park there, and it is a major it's a major north-south highway.
Right.
So,
yeah, I don't have any idea how long he was there. He's been on a lot of letters that I've seen, but, so, first thing is, if the board wants me to talk to Dave Jeffers, see what this project entails, I can do that. I would like to hear what Richard and Dana think about that.
In Chicago Village?
Yeah.
I thought that was the whole idea of that project, 20 years ago when they first started, that the town would never spend any money on it.
right.
And we do. And as far as I'm concerned, and I'll be right open right now, that we should not leave the crosswalks there, because we're going to spend $60,000 for the 3 people that go across that road once a week. That's my feeling. I just don't, we're all trying to save money and in every way we can. I mean, $60,000 is a lot of money for what they're talking about if we leave those crosswalks in there.
What's the 64?
We're going to have a blinking light, kind of like in West Ossipee, so when
in
people go
Washington,
across.
yeah.
Yes.
That's that much money?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the other part too, is that's not directly related to the traffic safety, though it is an ancillary thing, is the crosswalk. And I didn't realize this, but the crosswalk is the town's responsibility for maintenance. And because of the current traffic census, we are fast approaching the number of cars per whatever
There's 2 crosswalks on 16.
going by that they want us to put the lights, that if you push a light, it shows flashing, whatever, so traffic has to stop. We are also responsible for maintaining the painting of the crosswalks. I figured it was a state thing, but it's apparently not. We haven't been told, the latest letter from Bill Lambert's office said we have a heads up that the time is fast approaching, where we have to decide to either take the crosswalk out or install the safety measures because of the volume of traffic. And I don't think it makes sense at this moment for us to put any money into the crosswalk if there's even a remote chance that that whole area is going to be reconfigured. I mean, I think a roundabout's probably a pretty slim chance with the river and then the grade across from it. But if it is, it doesn't make sense to install anything else.
Have there been issues with pedestrians crossing and traffic?
You should try it sometime.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've crossed there many times. We've had CLC cookouts there. People park at the post office on the weekend and walk across.
Yeah.
Cars stop a lot. I mean, maybe I'm a big guy, but I have not heard complaints from CLC members going to the cookouts. John lives close there too. Mm-hmm. But, you know, our office is right next to the intersection. And, you know, I was there when the crash happened last week and came outside. And I've heard lots of crashes or near crashes scream. And pulling out there, coming down the hill or either direction, either side into that is a tough turn. Mm-hmm. So I think the focus of the money should be on the safety and the speed. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was the flashing light back in the day that DOT pulled out for some reason. Yeah. That I think helped, not with every driver, but some drivers do slow down. Mm-hmm. So that's the other thing that this period has changed in the past 20 years. Yeah.
I did ask about the flashing light, and he again kind of quoted the light here in town and the one in South Tamworth, and he said that their research shows that drivers become, you know, like you don't recognize those over time. So maybe those are effective if it's a one-time tourist going through and they notice it. But he said that they pulled a lot of those because of what their data shows them about it actually.
I think what I've heard from people in the village was that what they were told was there was a cost to maintain it. And that was the reason they took it out, was they didn't want to have to maintain the flashing light.
And the state pulled it?
DOT.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, John, you know, you've been part of that discussion. So.
They're not very consistent about that.
Yeah.
Here, you've got 16 and 113 crossing there, 2 state highways.
Yeah.
There's a light that's been kept in South Tamworth. It's just 2 local roads.
Yeah.
In that intersection there, and the light's still there. This here, I mean, I think this one's totally justified. The lights that are here at the corner by the memorials, since the visibility is so bad for vehicles coming over the Highland land there. Going back to the roundabout when the Shikaro project was happening, and they were talking design issues at that point, it was the idea of a roundabout there was taken off the table simply because there wasn't space. Mm-hmm. There wasn't space to put it there. You'd be building out over the river, and just wouldn't happen there. I will say, Richard, there's more than 3 people across the road there, and 2 of them are certainly live in my house, and some others, and times it is busy. People do, I think as a pedestrian, you need to assert your rights and let people know you're out there and you're ready to, looking to cross, and but that, I don't think the issues there at the intersection are not primarily pedestrian safety. It's vehicles, and I will say, I guess, just from my own perspective, I would say that the lack of DOT maintenance, just normal maintenance, is a problem. And at this point, people are talking about what things look like as you come down Deer Hill Road. At this point, as you come from the Page Hill Road side, the shrubbery that's growing out over the guardrail, as you try to see who's coming from the south, it's very obscuring.
Yeah.
Richard could probably speak to this, but DOT has a pretty young crew, an experienced crew as far as it seems like these days. But I think to clarify something, and that is that Bill sent the town a letter 2 years ago that basically said either fund flashing beacons for the crosswalk or remove it, and there was really no other option. And I think that, obviously keeping them, safety and all that, that's the concern that we're focused on, but, obviously if we put in the flashing beacons, that's an expense to the town. Mm-hmm. And the state's basically saying you only have 1 or 2 options. They're not saying keep the crosswalk and risk it. They're saying put in the flashing beacons or just remove them altogether. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I think that's where we're kind of up against at this point. Now the state's kind of pushing somewhat of an unfunded mandate onto us and saying, you know, you got to do this,
Yeah.
or get rid of the crosswalks.
Is the other
Which is an
crosswalk down by
unfortunate thing in
Woodland?
my opinion. I mean,
No, it's just on the
No,
other side of the
there's-
intersection.
Oh, it is?
2 right there, and then there's, yeah, right there.
Oh, going across that way. I
Yeah.
see. Yeah. So it's really that curve right there.
So I had not heard that $60,000 figure till tonight. That's a lot of money.
And that's for a, what kind of light is that? Is it hanging across the
It's
road?
actuated.
Yeah, there's like a
Oh.
button on it, like
Cross button on it.
and there'll be
Oh.
like a crossing.
I see.
I think that
Yeah.
the one in Meredith is probably similar to
Yeah.
Well, there's one right in West Ossipee.
By the dock.
By Watson's.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, there's one.
It's across that?
Oh, yeah. there.
Yeah, and then the arrow again, and then the maintenance of it.
Chief, are there other non-mechanical things we could do to deter speed? Radar traps, or even like a way to freak people out as they come down the hill and make them
Hire
slow down
more, hire
and
more
pay attention?
policemen.
Yeah, trying.
we're trying.
Yeah, I mean, those post-mounted displays are nice, but like Bill Lambert says, once they become static, then people just tend to ignore them. You know, like we have the one that we have for our department, we move it around on various town, state roads. And, you know, it's nice to change it up in that way. Doesn't always get people to slow down. I mean, I can sit here and watch from the PD, the one that's where it is right now, and watch people as traffic goes by, and they're still going at a higher rate of speed than what the sign says, so.
Is it possible?
I even, you know, Memorial Day, I had one of the cruisers sitting in the parking lot with lights flashing, and traffic leaving the intersection headed towards the PD was just picking up speed like the cruiser wasn't even sitting there. So I don't really understand it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. So I, just for the record right now, because this comes up in public comment quite a bit, saying, well, if the police would just do more speed, you know, stops, it is not possible. We've been trying to hire police officers for years now. There are not officers to be had. There's a deficit of like double digits in the state. The state police are understaffed, the county's understaffed, local police everywhere understaffed. So our police department of 1 3/4 and a little bit of officers has to handle everything from child rape cases to domestic violence to burglaries to all kinds of like quite serious things. And it's not that speeding's not serious, but when you have to make hard decisions and triage what you've got time for, it's not that we're not trying to hire people so that we can have that luxury, but the luxury of having an officer parked by the side of the road for hours at a time, the way like Moulton Borough has for years or had in the past for years, it's not feasible. And we can't look at that as an option for Tamworth.
I was thinking more like a static camera that sends you a nice ticket in the mail.
Well, that might be another. I mean,
I don't know what that would cost. If we can get
I
funding
don't like
for
that idea. I wouldn't have
And
to
move
drive
around
the truck
town,
with my
yeah.
points.
And on a state road, you couldn't do it anyway. I don't even know if you can do it on a local road,
No.
but you sure can't do it on a state road.
Yeah,
If you can't get the state to put in a blinking light, you can't get them to put in a camera.
yeah.
It seems simple to at least chat with LRPC and see if that process is worth the effort to look at a roundabout. A standard roundabout, you're right, there's not enough room for it. There are new designs of roundabouts. It's like this funny little wiggle, you know,
Yeah.
that it'll slow you down. I've been through a few of them. I don't know if I've been through many here in the States, but they've become more common in Europe.
Oh, yeah. I was gonna comment that I'd rented a car in France last fall, and every single intersection has a roundabout.
Yeah.
And quite often, there's a speed bump before you get to the roundabout. And if that doesn't work, they bring the curbing right out into your lane. In the small villages, if their cars meeting each other, one of them has to stop.
They're very
Because
aggressive with the traffic.
But it's been historical. They've been working on it for generations, not a few years. So
I think it makes sense to at least start that conversation. I don't know if we need to take action on the sidewalk right now because we haven't hit that. I think it was 7,000 average annual daily trips or something.
Yeah.
But we're going to bump into it at some point.
Yeah.
Clearly, the road agent would like to make it go away. Maybe we need to have more public input on that, but I would, in general, agree with the road agent on matters like that. I'm just amazed at $60,000, but everything costs too much.
Well, I'll reach out to Dave Jeffers and see what he says about the process and if it's even feasible for us to be barely conceiving of a project right now and have a fully fledged application by June 28th.
And maybe it's just a couple sentences. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I will do that. Anything else about? So this doesn't even bring up the section of Shakora, not to let that go, but I mean, Alex came to us a year ago about safety, turning in and off the Lake Road and to the island by the public beach area, and
You get any feedback?
Yeah, we submitted the application in January of last year, and in April we got a letter from William Lambert saying they didn't have the staff to review it.
Yeah.
And they let us know when they did. But we haven't heard anything since.
Yeah.
I haven't followed up with them, so I think it's on me. But it's been a year plus, and there's just a road safety audit, which is a half day of one engineer and one consultant to come evaluate the area. So.
I think Alex had a great idea there, where it was just expand out
Do
the
a passing
roadway,
The passing lane,
on the great passing lane, for the right, and that would probably alleviate some of that issue.
Yeah. So I don't know. I've just been told that they're not staffing for anything these days.
Yeah. Well, and ironically, Sean Chamberlain, who is the transportation guy for LRPC, resigned recently.
I know. Sean, I've been talking to Sean since then, thanks to John. And Sean said, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it from LRPC, and we'll put in a 10-year plan, and then he's gone. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'll see, when I talk to Dave Jeffers, who I think has kind of picked up on this in Sean's absence until the new hire comes on in the fall.
Okay, great.
And see if we can roll Shakaroa into whatever our project is.
It'd be nice just to have an engineer from DOT come look at the various places, an on-site visit, and consultation of people on the ground who drive these roads and walk these roads and maintain these roads. Just to, there's some things that may not be possible, and they can just tell us from day one that passing lane there's not room for it, or roundabout's not room for it, but it feels like we can't even get a response, let alone a visit.
Yeah, and he's probably not exaggerating that they don't have enough people to review the applications, Okay, I'm going to roll that into the conversation with Dave.
Is that all we have for?
That's first part. The second part is Page Hill.
Yep, the speed and safety on Page Hill Road.
Yep. So I also talked to Bill Lambert about that, and he said a couple of things. He had come to the board, he didn't remember when, the select board, before I was on it, I think, so then before you guys were on it, maybe you were here when he came, to talk about his recommendation, because speed on Page Hill has been a concern for a long time. His recommendation, again, he's a data guy, so based on the way they look at road safety, is that that 113 speed limit could easily change coming out of the village, stay 35 to the end of the zone where the village ends, switch it to 45 around the hill until you come back down towards population again on the other side of it. So it speeds up for a while. And at the same time, and he said that the state would do that because the road conditions warrant it, but they're not going to do it if the board doesn't support it. You have to have local support from the road agent, from local law enforcement, and from the select board. But his thought about speed on Page Hill was, if that speed were increased and the town reduced the speed further on Page Hill, then he thinks that that's going to start to trigger GPS shifts and also mindset shifts. Not for locals. The locals are already in their habits. locals are gonna do what locals are gonna do. But I don't necessarily think that locals are the majority of the problem. We're getting trucking traffic, shipping, coming from wherever, and using this as a cutoff, and they go up over Page Hill with tractor trailers and big trucks and deliveries that are not intended for Page Hill businesses or residences. So that might be a GPS shift. He said the other thing that we're allowed to do is, again, thinking about what pops up when you're trying to plot your course on GPS. He said that right now and Richard, correct me if I get this wrong, right now Page Hill is posted no truck traffic, 6 tons.
6 ton, over
Yeah.
6 ton.
He said we can post that as not a through road, and by definition a through road, if you have business on the road, whether you're going to dinner at Pub on Page, whether you're going to go visit Emery's house or pick up hay from him, whatever your business is, you're allowed to use the road. But it'll come up on GPS again saying this is not a through road, so the Home Depot delivery trucks they're gonna get rerouted around it.
So it'd just be a sign that says not a through road?
Not a through road. And
But it would get
GPS,
registered with GPS.
it gets,
Yep.
Understood.
yeah,
But there's already a sign there, no through trucking over 6
Yeah.
ton, and that's been there
It's
for
been there for 10 years,
25
you
years.
know.
20
That's different
years.
than not a through road.
Yeah, because that won't register normal GPS.
Okay.
yeah.
I think it makes sense to make it not a through road and just lower the speed limit. I don't want to raise any speed limits anywhere in town. It's funny, the only thing you can get New Hampshire DOT to do is to raise the speed limit.
Right.
We can lower the speed limit on Page Hill Road to create the differential, and you hope that some of the GPS traffic will just naturally go on
And we can
115
try
and
doing
not
the
Page Hill
speed
Road.
limit change
I
and
would
try
do
that
both.
for a year or so and see if there's a difference. And
I
if
think-
not, then we can add the
I
sign.
think we should do them both.
Do them both?
Yeah.
I think we should do them both.
Yeah.
How does that get registered though? I mean,
Yeah.
like if you go and post on Page Hill where it's a
Yeah.
town local road.
So,
There is a mechanism to contact the GPS companies to tell them of the change, or they find out on their own. I don't know how that happens.
I know how it happens, I just read all about it. So the way, there's like,
Let's get the short
this has
version.
been like my traffic
Yeah.
geek week, it's been terrible. So there's like 5 things that GPS uses, and a lot of it's real time and satellites. And they're sucking information up from everywhere all the time. So they determine routes based on traffic flow. If there's an upset for accidents, they register signage, speed limits. So like when you're driving, like my truck will pop up a speed limit change on the dashboard as you're driving, and it all gets picked up in real time. So it says that changes in road designation get picked up by their spyware, whatever they're using. So, I mean, if we want to use the tools we have, and we don't have a lot, we can't control who's coming to the region, but if the tools we have are to play with the speed limit and to post it in different ways.
Are they both now 113 and Page Hill Road the same speed limit?
Yes, they are.
35?
Yeah, they are.
Well, it's simple, just to lower it on Page Hill Road
Yeah,
and put the sign up.
yeah. I'm gonna let you call people, Lovely.
Yes, I do.
Well, I was gonna ask about that because my vehicle does the same thing. It pops up the speed limit when you're going, but
Yeah.
nothing pops up for a speed limit beyond the 4 corners here heading into Page Hill.
Oh,
So
really?
that's one thing. The second thing I was gonna mention is it's not just Page Hill now. In the past, I don't know what's changed in the past 2 or 3 weeks, but we've had more tractor trailers going down through Turkey Street,
Really?
cutting through to the village.
Turkey Street.
It's just how they're finding it, especially when you were paving Page Hill.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were
It picked
really
up on
going
the
through,
paving,
but a
yeah.
lot of tractor trailers, 6-wheelers, the whole 9
Wow.
yards going through.
We're here in air brakes at 8 o'clock tonight.
Trucks shouldn't even be using generic GPS. They should be using trucker GPS
Yeah.
because they spell out what roads trucks.
Well, and they
have.
should go up 16
Yeah.
off at 25 because, believe me, I know I did it enough.
It's
You
quicker.
don't save anything.
No,
Yeah.
it's quicker and
It's
easy.
quicker to just to go up 25 and 16. It is.
Well, it
yeah,
is
well,
and it isn't,
yeah.
because they see it as a shortcut,
Yeah.
because they're
But-
using Route 16 speeds on Turkey Street.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it back. But
The
if
thing
you go
you
to
have to
speed,
bear in
it
mind
is
is
not.
that Google maps the route based on the most economical or eco-friendly,
Yeah.
excuse me, not economical, eco-friendly route. which is a bit of a change in standard.
But that does, I read about that too, and so that does include things. So with that in mind, Page Hill would not necessarily be the most economical because elevation gain factors in.
And I cannot get, I cannot get, I've been trying to plug it into the route from 25 over to 16, and I can't get it to even bring Page Hill up as an option.
Yeah, so I just ran it. It takes me 113 around.
Yeah, I've been doing it.
And there's only 1 minute savings versus going around the highway the whole way.
Yeah.
So I think if you lower the speed limit, maybe that would influence.
I'm curious to test that though. If like as you're approaching Page Hill, if it automatically like thinks, oh wait a minute, this is, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if it would change like on the fly.
I think it's hard too because when you're coming in, it looks like the road, I mean visually, because of that wide base on Page Hill, it just looks like, oh, it pulls you right up the hill.
That's true. I mean, it was baffling this weekend to see the amount of campers being towed through the village and back to 16. Like, I would never want to tow my camper there just for fun. I mean, as opposed to 16 to 25, it's ridiculous. But
so
one camper after another.
Dana did mention, and I was going to follow up with Bill Lambert about this, that he had inquired about having truck route signs posted on 25, keeping people on 25 and 16 so that trucks aren't routed through here. And I'm going to ask him about that when I follow up to see if we can get any traction with that too.
So it have to be posted 25 east and 16 south.
Yeah.
Truck route, direction or whatever.
So the only thing that DOT, because it's a town road, he said they can't, they can't control really anything. But what he did offer, if we're interested, is that he could trigger the intersection of Page Hill and Turkey Street has been a dangerous intersection for a long time. And he said, I gotta make sure I call it the right thing. He can support a road safety audit for that intersection.
Once they have the staff.
Once they have the
Which
staff.
they don't have to do on 16. So
Yeah.
Turkey Street's going to be pretty low on the
10
list.
years out.
So I'm going to roll all that into the conversation about safety audits in that quasi-Chicago area to see what they say.
Good.
Because if it's a big enough chunk of project, maybe we'll actually get somebody paying attention.
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion we designate Page Hill Road as not a through road and change the speed limit to 30. Unless you think 25 is possible. That seems a little low.
Yeah.
Especially in winter.
I think 25.
Hard to get up there.
My feeling is, I think 25 because then you're going to get people down to hopefully 40.
Yeah, that's
I work on that hill all the time now, and they go over that hill 50, 60 miles an hour.
I get past going 40 regularly.
Right? Yeah.
Because somebody's riding my
Ask
tail
Page Hill Road?
all the time.
Oh, they do.
I went from maybe 4 times in 20 years to 4 times in the last 2 years. So anecdotally, I've been on the hill for 20 years, and the traffic has increased maybe tenfold. It's the
Brian,
same
I'm just
thing.
going to interrupt you real quick.
Yeah.
Are you holding your motion at 30?
25.
Second. Brian, keep going.
Keep going. That's what I'm saying. But honestly, I'm here because I was in fear for my life a couple times on that roadside, and it's been scary, really has, Dana. And people, like I said, I've been past 4 times in 20 years, and then 4 times in the last year and a half. So,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I gotta be like just make a blanket statement here. There is an immense lack of disrespect out on the road. The amount of road rage, guns being pulled, like I'm hearing on the radio in other towns and other areas, is like increasing on the regular. Like it's kind of appalling.
The speeding is just totally out of control.
Yeah, it really is, and there's just complete lack of respect for everybody on the road, and everybody's got to be everywhere more important.
You're making more stops than ever. I was like looking at the statistics. You went from like 200 stops a year to 600, and you got less power than less manpower than ever. So it's like not from not telling people what to do. It's just people just like lack of respect.
In support of the motion for Page Hill, I just asked that, we'll put it out as a note on like our Facebook, but the town website, somebody wants to put on the exchange, just hey, it's changing, so.
And the first 10 people you're going to pull over, right? It's gonna be locals.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We can almost
And that,
name
and
them.
that's okay.
We can name them.
Majority of use.
It is. We do.
Hopefully
Yeah.
there's nobody here.
Yep.
Call them.
Emily.
Roll call vote.
You said yes?
Fair yes, Schaefer yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no.
So, that's decreasing Page Hill. What are the thoughts on increasing 113 in that section?
Yeah.
We don't, that's not up to us, is it?
No, but I'd have
You
to
could
follow up,
recommend
and
it to
I've
us.
got to follow up and talk to Bill Lambert, because he said that he would do it if there were local support
How
from
much-
PD, town, and...
How much difference would it make if we changed it from 35 to 40? I mean, it's not, I don't think safety-wise, I mean, I'm not an expert on roads, but I would think it'd make a huge difference on how people travel through there.
But isn't he saying that if we do that, GPS is gonna pick up more? and
He's thinking
have them
it's
go
gonna,
that way?
it's gonna have a greater
Might get more
gap.
people off Page Hill.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna have a greater gap.
Anything we can do to get people off of KHL I'm in favor of.
Chief, what's your thoughts?
So I'm not a huge fan on that road. I know Bill mentioned it to me a couple years ago about increasing that, and I don't like the way that road, the corners bank out off the road. So wintertime we get a lot like slide offs and stuff. But that being said, I would rather have that be more of a hazard than Page Hill. So if it keeps traffic off of Page Hill, then I'll take that over Page Hill.
And I will say that he...
There's less residential in the stretch that they're considering.
right. And again, DOT data says that people are already driving 45 on that road regularly. Like that's which is why he brought it up whenever he brought it up a couple of years ago. So I don't think it's that it's
So
not that
he's-
people are driving 35 now and we're going to increase the speed they're driving. They're already driving 45.
Yeah, no, I'm in favor.
Do we make a motion on that, or do we just agree to go to?
I can move it.
Do we need a
Well,
motion?
but
Yeah.
I don't know if we need a motion,
Oh.
but I don't want to go to him. He says he's not going to make the recommendation if
The town doesn't.
the town doesn't support it.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing Dana supports it, I'm hearing Richard supports it. If the board doesn't support it, then
I would vote just to make a show of support for it.
I make a motion that we go to the state asking for the speed limit to be increased on Route 113 from 35 miles an hour to 45 miles per hour in whatever zone is later decided.
A limited section.
Yeah.
Second.
Discussion? As we've discussed.
Yeah, you're gonna have a follow-up call with Bill Lambert. Can you add in that no through trucking request?
yes, I got it. Yep.
Thank you.
Roll
Wait, you
call.
mean the truck route?
Truck route, thank you.
Yep, got it. Yep.
Roll call vote.
You said abstains.
Bear now.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 3 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstention. It was a complicated one.
I don't think we've ever had a vote like
No, that's not.
First time.
that. Okay.
All right, moving on.
Can I,
Yes.
while I'm here,
Yep.
I just wanted to, I know it's not on the agenda, but I wanted to follow up with something Richard brought up last week, and that was about the lean-to on Hemingway.
Oh, yeah.
I had talked with the forest ranger on Thursday about it. He went up on Friday, checked it out. I went up on Sunday, checked it out myself. Found it in more disrepair than I remember it last. And since the VSA camps have been taken down, the trail leading out towards those has overgrown quite a bit.
Yeah.
So the area, like back when the VSA was there, they maintained everything. There was even a little well pump shack,
Yeah.
2 camps, the lean-to. It's now in a state of disrepair. Unless it's going to be annually updated and upkept, I don't feel that they should continue to have it there,
Yeah.
because it figuratively attracts flies and other issues. So we did put a call into the state that we had last talked about with the camps. They're going to go assess it and determine whether to take it down or not.
Great.
So my request is for them to take it down if they're not going to do any maintenance on it.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be the outcome.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
That's one below the fire tower.
Yeah. Somebody's been sort of kind of living there. camping / living there.
Yeah, the forest ranger did post, no campfire signs up on it. But I think if it gets taken out, it'll get all overgrown eventually and be a non-issue.
Thank you.
Moving on to the property valuation letter discussion with Kim.
That's
Trammell.
Kim, let me think Kim.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you guys, have a good night.
Thanks a lot,
Have a
Richard.
good night.
Thanks, Dana.
Hey guys, see you guys.
Good head out.
So,
Night, Ed. Nice to see you.
so you all talked about that letter in one meeting, and I think opted for the shorter one.
Yeah.
And Kim felt strongly that maybe the middle letter, which was shorter than the first, but longer than the bullet points, might be more appropriate. So that's what she's.
And that's the one that is in our packet.
Yeah.
That you tweaked.
Yeah. Yeah, I took a lot of out.
Yeah.
It's a little more readable. And then added in Leanne's graphic.
And my thought was after, like, that's completely fine. Kim like knows more about this than I do. I was just being mindful that there are a lot of people who don't understand this stuff, including me. And when you get all those words, it's a lot to digest.
Yeah.
So
You just choke up.
Keats is gonna maybe you have already, but increase like the visibility of the section that says, and if you want to talk to anybody about this, make a, we can go through this whole thing with you, make an appointment, and come in and see us.
So the current version
helping
is
somebody?
Yeah.
Okay.
the current version is two double-sided,
Yeah.
one piece of paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a lot cleaner with the bullet points too.
Yeah. And your graphics too.
Yeah. You're on.
I just kind of.
What subject are we on?
I updated them on that there's two versions of the letter. They had chosen the shorter, and that you and I felt pretty strongly that maybe the longer was going to be.
Okay.
So go ahead.
I guess just in reading both of them, I thought for those who aren't familiar with the process, that this was a little more explanatory than the bullet point ones. I understand the rationale, the reasoning behind the bullet points, but I thought that if, in the way this is laid out, the discussion on it or the following it would be easier, I guess, for those who aren't familiar with the process.
I don't think anyone is.
Yeah, no, they're not. No, and that's why, Carl.
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah, because I do get questions.
Yeah.
How do I file for the abatement? How do we do elderly exemption? Is there this? Is there that? Veterans, that kind of thing. So, and even though it's stated on the tax bill, it is there. And I put those couple of paragraphs in bold on the tax bill, so it is the part of the fine print and everything else.
I think people just see the numbers.
Yes, when they look, absolutely. And I think that's, obviously with the reassessment, reevaluation year, I think that's what they're going to be focusing more on, the rate and the assessment value type of thing. So I think this would kind of help bring it together for people. A little easier, I guess, smoother.
So what did we do?
You had motioned to accept the shorter version.
Yeah.
And
So we have to
remove it.
Somebody could motion to do the longer version, perhaps, instead.
I motion to not send out the shortened version of the valuation letter, or the valuation letter, and to send out the modified.
It's called boiled
down version
That's
of
the
the
title of
valuation letter.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Fair, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes. 0 no.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Me.
Thanks.
In case you guys don't stay for the whole meeting, I'm going to CC you on the Dave Jeffers,
Okay, thank you.
because you're still on TAC, right? Too, so.
And the only other thing about that letter is, it is not budgeted to send it out. I think we can find room in my budget or the assessing budget. So it probably costs about $1,500 to $1,800 to send to every property owner. So I'll get it priced out and come to you for approval.
That would include postage as well.
It'll be way cheaper than that.
It'll be what?
It'll be way cheaper than that.
It- Well, there's 2,700, 2,800 tax bills that go out, so we were kind of, there's duplicate property owners, so it may reduce that, but if we're looking at using that same
That's an approximation.
Because the stamp is what, 50?
well, they're going up mid-July, so
Yeah.
a little more, but we get bulk rate from, if we're using, who I use
The
for the
mailhouse.
Yep.
tax bill processing,
Yeah.
they do a bulk rate for us, for the tax bills.
So it's not gonna go in the tax bill, it'll be a separate
Well,
letter?
first
Tax bills.
No, it'll go out
Did you
sooner
think
than,
yours?
yeah.
I mean,
That's right.
What's
We
the
talked
timing, do you
about putting in
think?
the tax bill before,
We
so I
did.
guess we're late.
We did.
we haven't, I don't know, I hadn't had discussion with anybody about including them in the tax bills. I know there is parameters for what you can include, so we'd have to
Maybe-
look at that.
But we want this out before the
Okay,
November bill.
and that's what I didn't know,
Yeah.
that's what I did.
And do it before the postage rates go up.
Would the idea be to mail it a month before the bill goes out, or in July? I don't know.
I know, the timing of it would be, for less questions and things, I think, would be better if it was within a range when the
Maybe
bills.
within a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
So go
Or-
out a few weeks before the bill.
I think
Yeah,
so.
because
I
that way we
think
don't
it would
limbo.
help with the phone calls and everything for the two offices, quite honestly.
Okay.
I think that would be a little, it'll give them time to kind of digest and then they'd see the bill, you know, and work
Hopefully
with
they
that.
kept it.
Yeah,
in.
they,
Yeah, that's right.
that makes
So
sense.
maybe, a couple
Maybe I should
weeks.
put that on the letter, like keep for referral when your bill arrives.
Yeah, maybe, something like that. That may be, you're right.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Letter of support for All Persons Trail.
You skipped
This one.
It's skip one.
Oh, sorry.
Just the,
Excuse me. We're gonna move on to expanding into the new office or
Yeah.
existing office space, new to us office space.
So the nurses are going to be out, I believe, by the end of June. They will leave it room clean. They're going to leave a few pieces of furniture. I've talked with everybody in the building, and we've sort of come up with a plan of use, and it's good timing because we really do need to move. Finance person and the treasurer will be in what is now Paul's space. The storage room behind Paul's office will be a conference room. They're going to leave that large conference table, so that can be another meeting space. The exam room will keep the kitchen, and there's a bathroom there and a closet. That will be where Sharon Knopfnagel, what's her title?
Yeah, supervises the
Supervisor of the checklist
If-
can have a desk and her files there.
And not that one may be able to be shared. Sharon's, you know,
I think it can be shared.
could be,
She's
yeah.
like, she uses it maybe 10 to 15 days a year,
Yeah,
maybe.
depending on election year, obviously.
But she'll
and
have
what
like
she
a
has to
home
be.
where all
Yeah,
her
where
stuff
all
is
her stuff
parked.
is there,
and-
right,
so-
and she doesn't have to worry about scheduling.
Yeah.
A whole mess of
Because
boards.
there's
just
often
maybe.
conflict.
Yep.
So this room will get to open up again. We'll take these dividers out. And Emily, who is sort of rogue, she just has her phone and her computer. She can sit anywhere. I was going to put Elaine in the little room that is now Pam's room, but Elaine felt it was too claustrophobic. So Emily can use that and share it with other people as needed. And really, the two new offices are the treasurer and the finance is going to have a home that is private. And that way, there's meeting spaces for the general assistance officer. You know, it just gives us a huge amount of flexibility, which is great. Rick is pricing out. There's a little bit of electrical work that needs to be done. We're going to put a door from my office into the conference room.
Great.
Yeah, and the reason it's really great is then out of the conference room we can have an emergency exit door, which I feel really strongly about because I feel a little trapped in that space.
We talked about that last year.
Yeah, so that solves that. And then Rick is also going to put a window in what is now Pam's office because there's no window in there. And the space that Sharon will be in has no windows. It has an emergency egress door into the nurses, but there's no place to put a window there. So.
But I was even, Keith spoke with me a little bit about it, and I was even thinking whether sometimes people come in for, not often, but genealogy, just want to look at a book or something, whether they, you know, rather than occupying this space for, if they can. But there's also that option of that conference room, if you will, in there. Plus, I think it puts the our guy, the treasurer and finance, in a safer place in regards to.
Much better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in
this
regards
is
to the general
challenging.
public, them handling money, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So they'll be in where Paul's.
They'll be
space
in where Paul is, yeah.
And
Yep.
that door,
Will be an employees only door.
yeah, employees only.
So nobody, you won't really go through it that much.
Yeah. They
That's
won't-
great.
And they aren't dealing with the general public for the most part
Yeah.
all the time anyway.
Yeah,
And if they
and
do, they
staff
have
can
that
go
conference
in.
room in there or whatever
Yeah,
to meet with somebody,
yeah.
whether it's banking people. Yeah.
So I'll have a budget probably in 2 weeks. We have money in the budget for this project. But it's gonna be some electrical, we need to get an additional phone, with these over there, and painting, just, what?
I got phones.
Well, they have to work with the system.
Yeah, let's tell me what it is and see.
Okay, great.
For the
And we need
individual
another
office.
wooden table for this one.
I got a wooden table already.
Do you have one?
I got it.
Okay, I'm tired of your
Yeah.
standing table.
Keats, are they gonna have windows in the offices that people will have?
Well,
Themselves.
for the treasurer and the finance officer, there's already 2 windows. It's a
Okay.
nice bright room.
Yeah.
And then we're putting a window in what is now Pam's office. The conference room, we're gonna put a door with lights in. The exit door will have a window, and then we'll put an additional window. It just has to fit over what is now the condensers. So
Okay.
it may only be a small window higher up. We'll put as big a window as we can. So yeah,
Awesome.
so it'll be great. We are, need it.
The ramp looks great.
Yeah.
Striping will happen tomorrow.
Oh yeah, striping is
Okay.
happening
Thank you.
tomorrow. So
Okay.
from 6:30 to 7 a.m. supposedly, and it dries in 30 minutes,
Oh, okay,
apparently.
yeah. Good.
And then I might as well just say it again. This building will be pretty much not working on Monday morning because they're doing stuff to the transformer. So anybody who's affiliated with that pole, which is the bakery, the building next door, Hillary's home, and a few other houses will have no electricity from 8 a.m. till probably noon.
Has everybody been notified?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, to the extent that I know everybody who's, I think so. So,
Great. Moving on to the letter of support for All Persons Trail.
so TCNA is building an all-persons trail on Scott Road. 2 property owners there have donated permanent access for the trail, and so they're fundraising to raise money to do whatever it is they need to do to make the trail. And they've asked us for a letter of support.
For grantors, you mean?
Yeah, for grant writing. Yeah.
They have an application coming up June 25th, I think, for.
Say that again?
They have a grant application coming up 3rd week in June.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's still on private land, the Corson's land?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
So
but it's in conservation, so it's permanent, right?
Yeah, CLC has deed restrictions on it
Okay.
that we have had to go to the state to waive some of the provisions.
Yeah.
Because they're adding a boardwalk and a viewing platform, but it looks beautiful.
Great.
And the maintenance is gonna be paid for by over time, do we know?
We're talking with them about that.
CLC's,
We'll be doing the trail maintenance,
okay,
but we don't want to take on maintaining the viewing platform or the boardwalk.
yeah.
So we're talking about how they're going to maintain those structures.
Okay, I'm confused. When you said something, Keats, I thought you said TCNA.
TCNA,
TCNA is the
Okay.
sponsor of the trail,
Gotcha,
and it's for people with all different abilities.
gotcha.
yeah,
So somebody in a wheelchair or
Yep.
whatever.
Okay.
And we're writing a letter of support for them too.
Okay.
great.
I make a motion that we support send the letter of support for the All Persons Trail.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes?
Schaefer, yes?
Dennis, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. We will move on to old business, transfer station staffing update, and transfer station improvement update.
Yes, thank you. So I think Richard and I wanted to give a bit of an update on what's going on with the transfer station. As far as staffing goes, we have done some interviews already for the new, for the transfer station supervisor. And we have a second round going on presently. We reposted it in another papers, got kicked out. In Laconia paper, is that right?
Yeah.
So we're still seeking more applicants as we go through that second round as well. There's been a lot of people that have signed up for per diem work, which is awesome.
great.
So hopefully people have noticed that there's been an increase in staff at the transfer station to help out with. And I don't know, Richard, did you have anything about staffing wise that you wanted to?
Nope, I think you covered.
Right. So of course now it won't let me back into the meeting. I'm trying to share my screen.
Uh-oh. Is there anything I need to do?
No, I doubt it. Just go back.
I just want to note that during the traffic discussion, Jim Diamond typed in a message. Should I read it?
Sure.
Okay. This is Jim Diamond. I think the dollars are the wrong metric to use in making safety improvements. How much is a human life worth? 60K is not even close. Please just make the traffic pattern safe for all. Pedestrians, local drivers through traffic. Again, thank you, Richard. We would love to see Page Hill Road, have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. We cannot walk Page Hill Road without putting our lives in jeopardy under the current circumstances. Okay. Thank you.
If you would admit me, Keats.
Oh, well.
If you want to, I mean, I guess. If you have to. And then you can open up the sharing, please. I think you had to do it next to the share screen options.
I have to do the share screen?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Multiple. Did that do it? Because I can go to advanced sharing options.
Try to share it. There we go. Thank you. Worked in the test. Let's see if it works in real life. Hey, look at that. Catches up. Loading. Anytime. Works so much better on the test. All right.
Always.
So what I wanted to do was show the board, the town, the layout that we currently have and talk about some of the options that Richard and I and TSEC as well as Sanborn Head have recently discussed. So when things come up down the road, we can have a better understanding of how we got to whatever our final conclusion is. So what you see in front of you, when it catches up here, I zoomed in a little bit, is the current transfer station layout. Here you can obviously, oh no, turn on my pen.
And that's new survey about a year old from Sanborn and HEB.
Yes, right. So we have the updated wetlands, boundaries, and everything else. And so what I just circled in
Wait,
blue.
1 second. Ed, can
Sure.
you just step back a tiny bit? Once you get set up. Thank you.
What I just circled in blue is to give context, so please forgive me if the orientation's off and you're not sure where we're at, say something. I'm used to reading blueprints, and so if you're not, it can be a dizzying array of lines. What I just circled is the current container area that we pull up behind and place our cardboard, glass, light metals. This right here is where the tin can goes as an example. Here is our current MSW compactor for the solid waste, municipal solid waste, with the office building right there. This little X is where the current porta potty is located, and so hopefully that orients everybody pretty well as to where we're at. Over here is the brush pile, and obviously the road going in and out I think is fairly straightforward. So everyone kind of with me with where we're at?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, good. So a couple options that we've talked about is adding in a scale. So as we know, the two main things that we need to get to are a bathroom and a scale. Recycling is something else, obviously, we've been looking at, and with where we're currently at, the option we presented to Sanborn Head this week was to basically tell us the biggest building that we could put in what we believe to be the best area for it, somewhere around here where the brush pile is currently. And it didn't, there's my box. So they're doing some of their magic on that, and that will determine how far we can go with recycling. The biggest reason for the building is storage for the bales that we need to hold on to until we can fill a truckload. So if we can build a building that does that and hold a baler and some other equipment, that's a great direction forward. We already have the septic planned out. It needs to go here roughly. It's a little different than that because of the wetland setback, but that's basically where it needs to go. The well's already in place, which is, I believe, right there. And so an idea is to place the scale where I had it in blue, originally drawn, and traffic could come up the road, either onto the scale if they needed to. Assuming we're able to have a building, they could circle around, drop off their recyclables here if necessary as a option, and then continue down to drop your MSW or C&D and metals as we currently have. One option that we've also talked about is down the road in the future, as we need to increase the amount of MSW that we take, is we could possibly add another compactor at ground level. So that's been discussed, not certainly as a first plan phase, but we don't want to take the future out of our planning steps here in that consideration. Now obviously this creates a problem by putting a building here with where is the brush pile, and this is one of the things that I definitely wanted to bring in front of the board, is we have some options with brush. We do not have to take brush. The sentiment with a few people I've talked to is that it would be a decent hardship on a bit of the town if we didn't take brush. The chipper is currently, it might not be working presently. If it is, it's working with some duct tape and some gum properly placed. So question is, do we replace the chipper? Do we find something else to do with the brush? Do we have somebody else chip it for us? Do we burn it? All options to consider. Obviously, if we're not able to put a building here, then we could continue to use it for brush if need be.
Can I jump in for a second?
Please.
Oh. I was hoping we could find a way to design a bathroom now and get it put in this year. But it looks like the best place for the bathroom is uphill of the septic field. It's a nice, simple design. So it's likely that the bathroom would be in the area where the brush pile is, and perhaps a scale house. Steve was right. The size of the building is key. If the building's big enough to hold a baler or two and 2 truckloads of bales, then you can recycle and store bales. So we've told Sanborn Head their one task right now is how big a building can we put there? And if it looks big enough to store all that, then we cost everything out. If it doesn't look big enough to store everything, then our ability to improve recycling is dramatically limited, and maybe we'll build a smaller building. And it would be workspace for the staff, the bathroom, and the scale house still. But how much recycling we do to a great extent is, I think, limited by the size of that building. But it's certainly not a done deal if they say the building's big enough. It's, okay, the building's big enough, now cost everything out. And if we can't afford it, well then we'll go back to building a smaller building and doing less recycling. The thing that's saving money is we're leaving the MSW and the compactor where it is. We're moving as little dirt as possible. The only dirt that we hope to move is maybe shove the hill over a little to tuck the scale in next to the hill. You know, a little short 3 to 4 foot retaining wall. Because that really gives you the space between the scale and the cans. And you put some drainage there to tie it into the swell that's there now. And first you need to know if you have the space, and then you need to figure out if you have the money. And if either of those things says no, then you back up and do less.
Yep.
So can I ask 3 questions?
Sure.
So 1, brush can't go at the bottom of the hill?
It can.
That's
I think,
coming up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That was my question.
so if I'm looking at where the recycling canisters are now, And I thought that what one of you just said was you drive in, you drop your recycling at the building.
It's an option.
That's an option.
So if that's an option, doesn't that open up a whole bunch more room for the scale without?
It may.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
The other option is you get rid of a bunch of those cans and you build a real skinny building and you drop recycling there.
We could do
So
other
there's
things.
a couple of different places to collect.
Okay.
With angling the cans.
Yeah.
Might be the wrong angle. Definitely not a good artist
That's
here.
that's one thing that Tom from Main Scale said is, yeah, you need to angle the cans because you pull them out from that side,
Right.
which I didn't know, and the scale gets in the way if you're pulling the cans out
Okay.
toward the scale.
So one last question is about the building. Matt Rose from LRPC made a presentation, and one of the things he showed was Ashland's
Yep.
setup, which is more like a
A hoop.
Quonset hut hoop,
Yep.
and they've got their balers and their storage in it. I mean, the thing's huge.
Yep.
Yeah,
But
I don't. They store there. I don't know if they bale. Maybe they do.
yep, bales in it, and he said it's on a pad.
It's on a pad. Yep. That would be a plan B. A steel skin building would be plan A.
Yeah.
Because I think it's much more durable.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Please go.
Thank you.
So you go on over the scale, drop off your refuse, you have to go back on the scale.
Correct. You
Way
loop
out.
around.
So you take another
turn.
turn around.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep. Right there.
so there's gotta be room for that.
Yep. And when you really look at it, there's a lot of pavement there.
Yes.
You probably can't turn a tractor trailer, but you can turn a pickup truck towing a small trailer, or a 10-wheeler certainly can make it.
Yep. During the process originally, one of the iterations, we were looking at how we could possibly do allow backing in or dumping to the C&D, the construction demolition debris. That's really off the table at this point with the amount of earth moving we'd have to do. Now, if we don't have the ability to build a building and we don't have recycling, maybe there's more money to look at something different like that. But during our interviews, during the public session which Ed was here for, we had, it's from Moltenboro, right?
Yep.
It's Ken, I'm not going to...
Ken Fulpillo.
Filippo from Moltenboro was talking about how much C&D they deal with.
It was astounding.
A staggering amount. I think he said 9 cans?
9 cans are full.
A day.
Yeah.
A week.
Was it a week?
Yeah, 9 cans a week.
Whatever it is, it's a lot.
And but so what I was interested in, they have a scale, they have dumping, they take a lot of that C&D, and are they benefiting by being able to take more C&D like that? And the answer is no, like they barely break even. So if we did that, so I guess my point is there's no real incentive that I can see for the town to spend a bunch of money to allow dumping of C&D just so we can spend more money on getting rid of C&D.
Yeah.
Unless you increase the price per
rate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
significantly.
So that is a decision that should the building not happen, we would need to put back on the table. Becky?
And Tom from Main Scales, he said, the fact you do hand loading, that's great. You don't want to dump.
Right.
Because you have a lot less people coming because they can't dump it. And he says, you don't want to have to deal with that volume of stuff. He said you'd be amazed at how little stuff you get when you get a scale and when you can't dump.
Right. Yes, Becky?
Well, that's my question. The whole purpose of getting a scale is so you bring your commercial people in and stuff, and one of the reasons they don't come is because you cannot back up and dump in. With a dump trailer, I can't bring anything in and dump it in. Every other town around us has it so that you back up, you dump. Wakefield, Effingham, Freedom. If you're going to go to the expense of doing the scale, what volume are you going to weigh if you don't get people coming in that can dump?
I think that's a great question, and to me, the commercial aspect of it is not where the scale comes of benefit. We do not know how much refuse is coming in for C&D in just the regular homeowner. And right now we're doing, I think this has been brought up several times, but we're doing a volumetric calculation, but we pay by weight.
Right.
So the same bed load full of bricks is the same as a bed load full of styrofoam. And that, I think, will be a staggering change in what we see. What we pay for C&D is going up, and the volumes, the truckloads we've been running is going up.
And our revenue has gone down.
And our revenue
But
has
your
gone down.
pricing should go up when you have an accurate way of getting it.
Absolutely. At this point,
the scale may pay for itself in a year or two.
Right.
In Ossipee, it paid for itself in 1 year.
Yeah.
Right.
But they have a lot of commercial coming in that can offload and dump.
It's true.
So that, like, people like I know they will go to different places like what used to be on 41 and stuff to offload their stuff because they can't back in and offload at the transfer station.
Yeah, and my feeling is that the town we shouldn't be getting into, my feeling is commercial people should be getting their own dumpster, renting their own dumpster.
Absolutely.
They should not be, commercial stuff shouldn't really be dealt with by the town, is my feeling. I don't think we should be in the business of, if we do go that route and have it so you can dump, I believe that we should increase the cost of it. Because if anything, it should offset the transfer station operations. That's the idea of the recycling.
Absolutely.
Or attempt.
Keeping it out of the MSW
So,
stream at the very least.
but I don't think we should be, trying to
And that's not
advertise
been
people coming in to.
It's not been a priority for us in any
So
way.
I think that
I have-
businesses should be dealing with it themselves.
I have another design, while I'm on this, the last couple things is we've discussed, if we aren't able to get this building at all, and that's completely out of the picture, we have a possibility. This area back here is grass, there's plenty of area to build a bathroom back here if we had to. At bare minimum, that should get us a bathroom. Like Richard had mentioned, this is not ideal for grade, so it would be a pump-up system, I believe.
There's a little grassy patch behind the compactor building. It's plenty big enough.
So I think if you change from a gravity to a pump system, you have to have a new plan done, not just an as-built plan, which isn't a huge deal.
Okay.
But just if you go from if you go from pump to gravity, you can just do it with an as-built plan.
Another
But
thought
not the
was
other way.
turn the
Not the
current office into a bathroom if
Yep.
you're building a new building with an office.
Again, not that the plan cost is really in the big picture, but it's still something to think
Good to
about.
know.
Yeah, that's what I sort of pictured was
Yeah.
turning the.
Which is possible.
President office.
We then have, but if we're still going to have the compactor here, we still need to have an operator's area.
Yeah.
We can make the operator's area much smaller. There's a ton of options.
Yeah.
Not one of the options.
And we did confirm with our attorney that the bathroom does need to be ADA compatible.
Okay.
I thought there was an opening there, but there isn't. It's not a big deal, but it's good to know.
So another option is to, as Leanne had mentioned, move the brush pile, assuming we were able to put a building in for storage. I guess really, or not, this would just be an entirely different option. Instead of having the scale up high, what we could do is take all of these containers that currently house the recycling, basically get rid of them, move down to the bottom, so now we're down by the road in a second. There, no, come on. It's got to go all the way out to California and back. Okay, there we go. So another option would be to use one side of the road and concrete barriers to build open top pits.
Rick was saying it had to be covered
Some has to be covered.
because of the snow shoveling issue.
Okay, some has to be covered. We could cover them with a small lean-to structure over top if you build up the blocks. I'm not sure if I'm describing this very well, but those interlocking blocks that you'll see, different resident people
The
have for
loam
holding
storage,
loam and,
yeah.
and stuff like that. We could build something like that, and you could put white goods in here, and you could put glass or whatever else you needed to, whether it was actually kept here and then moved somewhere else is up for question, but it would give us a place to move some things away from the top of the area where we have them in containers now. We could then put the brush over here as a possibility, whether we chip it, burn it, have someone else come in and chip it, is something we're looking at. And then we could put the scale, this was something that got brought up very interestingly, I thought, right in the middle of the road, and have the road then drive around either side. Now, this would mean that so we'd also have a station down here somewhere for the scale attendant. This is where we could possibly get a ticket system where someone comes in, they get a ticket for their white goods, their brush, if we charge for brush or not, their initial weigh-in on the scale, and then they can drive up and obviously do the rest of their business back at the transfer station. But now we have, I should have moved it all in one move, but now we have all this room opened up here, and we don't have any of the tight restrictions that we currently have allowing for multiple lanes.
So you're saying that the the compactor building could go there instead?
Well, we would leave the compactor alone.
And just leave that open?
And have the opening for either multiple lanes going into the compactor, for adding an at ground level additional compactor. This is something that Rick and several other of us have talked about, so you could have 3 lanes, which adds a lot of positives for the logistics of running the transfer station, shutting down and opening up lanes.
So as you're thinking, the stuff that would go by the scale are things that it's not that frequently used, you know, tires, electronics, refrigerants, stuff like that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if somebody comes in to the transfer station and they have construction debris, and then they have other trash, how do you, like, when they come in, you're going to weigh that, so then when they go back out, if they get rid of everything, they would be getting, also paying for their trash and so, like all their other stuff.
They'd have to go through twice. I hadn't thought of that. I guess what they do is they'd go through, dump their MSW, they'd have to loop around and come back in again with their C&D.
So if the, I'm just thinking if the scale was down bottom, that might complicate.
Yeah.
I'm thinking backing up onto Route 25.
Well, we would have to make the traffic pattern such that you could turn, if that's even possible, the scale. Maybe I have it drawn in a bad place. Maybe it should be up here or something. Again, it was
you don't want a queue on the scale to end up out on the highway.
Right.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Conway does that, and they don't back out onto the roadway either. But they have everybody drive through, and when you come up to the window, they'll say, "Is it just your trailer load of to be weighed?" And if you say no, I've got trash and stuff, they will let you go through. You empty off your MSW and glass and bottles and all that, and then you come back around and weigh for your construction cost.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I mean, obviously, it must be an easy thing to figure out. I just was.
But
just traffic
flowing a lot
just
smoother
traffic
because
pattern.
you're not double circling around all the time because it's straight up in then back out and then just come back around.
Right.
So one of the issues that this presents, and Richard touched on it earlier, is that we need to have at least camera view of the scale, but preferably if we're taking money there, if we're handing out tickets, we're going to need to have a person there. So one of the things that I think is beneficial about having this setup is there is a person that's able to manage much more than just the scale. That scale might be used infrequently, but certainly checking dump stickers, getting white goods, tires, electronics, brush, all that stuff taken care of could all be done by that lower person. Still having likely some cameras to keep an eye on everything else, but then there's only 1 person or 2 up at the top of the transfer station for helping with the rest of the duties.
And one issue Rick brought up was if you're putting your stuff in the Wilm-like containers, people could easily drive up to the gate and then walk over their TV when we're closed. So you'd say you'd have to fence it in somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a fair point.
Yeah.
One of the reasons why I also want to have cameras.
Yeah.
Watching things, because we do have, I wouldn't say it's frequent, but more than 0 incidences of people hiding things in places that are somewhat out of sight right now, and we get discovered. We had instances of people dropping those water bubblers into
into the C&D.
C&D where they don't belong, no matter how many times they've been told. So,
Well, they walk across the bar gate and walk up to the transfer station.
On closed days?
Yeah.
Yep.
Didn't know that.
The other thing that I really like about, and not to try to push anyone in a direction, but that's interesting about this particular design is with all the open space, it would leave options for things like a swap shop or other additions that we might want to do to the transfer station in the future.
Can, where you've got brush right now, what's keeping us from expanding further over, like opening up that area
Over to
more?
here.
Yeah.
I believe wetlands.
You can see the wetlands there.
Yeah, but that's a tree line right there.
Correct.
Yeah.
This is a tree line.
But I mean, before you get to wetlands, there's still quite a bit of
There's room.
I believe
Yeah.
so.
There's room to do stuff.
to open it up a little.
I was told we have a testing well somewhere down here. I don't know how easy those can be moved or how close you can get to them, but that certainly is a consideration.
Yeah.
And then what about to the other direction? I know the elevation changes a little quicker,
bit,
but not significantly. Back behind
Back
on the
here.
other side of the road.
Yeah.
Oh, over
Nope.
here.
No.
Where's the boundary?
Well, the
Yeah.
boundary might be fairly close there.
Oh,
Yeah, but
okay. I
it's-
was no.
No,
You can see the
boundary's
boundary
marked.
line.
Can you
Oh.
scroll it over, Steve?
Yeah.
So we can see where the property line
Oh,
is?
yeah, there's space there.
Yep.
Yeah,
And there's not much grade.
Doesn't look like there's grade there.
No, there's not a big
It's pretty
elevation change.
Certainly.
Yeah, that would open it up if the scale
Yeah.
were down in that area, to do what?
Right.
So it's a
Not be
little
congested.
tricky splitting the staff when you don't have a lot of staff, you've had a lot of turnover, but with cameras and walkie-talkies and the right staff, utilizing both places, it gives you a lot, just gives you more room to do it.
Yeah.
I wonder whether the scale attendant will have time to do other chores.
It's,
I mean,
difficult.
if everybody has to, well, I guess everybody doesn't have to pull onto it.
No, only people that are going, I mean, whatever we're charging for.
Yeah.
So if you're dropping tires, and even if we don't have them collected here, if you're dropping tires, you're gonna get a ticket for the 3 tires. There's not gonna be a question of what tire did you just drop off.
Yeah.
It's right there, there's someone to inspect it. So I could see the person being busy with those duties, but that certainly wouldn't require a scale.
You also then, apparently there's a ton of vehicles that don't have permits, so then you're sending
Yes.
them.
Right,
Checking
that's
that,
the
yeah.
other part, is checking
Yeah.
permits,
Right.
but.
The biggest reason I like splitting this is because I want to tell you, it is dangerous up at the top of that hill on a busy day. You know, the people who work there are trying to cross all that traffic. People are pulling around, coming in hot. It's like, if it's a sleepy day, not so much. But especially if you're talking about adding the scale congestion possibility, I just feel like it's already tight.
Right.
And kind of like an accident waiting to happen.
Yep.
We need to figure a way to deal with a queue. If you get 4 or 5 cars that need to get on the scale, you back out on the road. So we might have to find a passing lane.
But I mean, even
Or
if
a waiting lane.
even if we can move off to the brush side a little bit, back brush up, and like the scale can be off centered, then because
Yeah, this is just a particular option. I've also heard options of putting the scale over here, and obviously if we're going to open up the land to the left, the options again continue to grow.
Yeah.
So I'm encouraged that we're thinking outside the box in that area, and obviously there's no decisions made, but this is just ask questions, get updates, and
I think the scale off to the side may help with the congestion. Just having it down lower, I think I like better myself. But out of the general flow.
What is it? I mean, Ossipee, it's you can go either
Come
way.
in,
And what's it like at Moltenboro?
I haven't been to Moltenboro.
But even in Ospey, don't you go over regardless of whether you've just got MSW or...
No, there's
No,
there's
it
a button.
goes
separate
it
now.
goes separate.
It wasn't
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Right. There is.
Yeah, same.
Because I agree, that's the way to pick up with stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick up with stuff that, I've got an AC I need to get rid of. Oh yeah,
Yep.
it'll be a $5 charge and collect it right then and there.
Right, and before they ever anyone ever gets up to a
Up to
place to drop it,
Right.
it's been dealt with.
And Ossipee and North Country Recycling both, because the booth is up higher.
So
I
they
mean, the
can see
booth at
going in.
Ospee's built up onto the scale platform, and you can see into
See what's in there.
Is there any
back of people's
Conway you
vehicles.
can, they
You
look right
can.
down in.
Yeah.
Is there any difference in the cost of scales or maintenance of having a flat ground scale versus a raised up scale?
We've heard mostly put it on top of the ground, not in the ground.
Right,
Because it
maintenance-wise.
gets all jammed up with salt and sand and everything.
The reason I was asking is because like when I go into gravel pits, some of them are both ways, and like down at Pine River, sand and gravel, Ospey, they have a raised up scale. When you get out of your truck and have to get down off that scale, I mean, if it's raining or something, that is
That's
an
slippery.
Ooh, really?
accident
Yeah.
waiting to happen.
It's not wide
That's a
enough
good
to-
point.
Yeah, and where with the in-ground scales, you step right onto the ground.
Yeah.
And then like at Coleman's, they have a raised up scale, but you walk flat off the scale onto like a platform.
Yeah. You should build
So maybe they're
a deck or
probably.
something.
I mean, that's
That's
probably
a good
not
thing
a
to
huge
think
thing
about,
to
yeah.
figure out.
When I've
That
been on
tip to
scales
get
at
back.
transfer stations, I've never had to get out. Matter of fact, they yell at you to not get out. They weigh you with you in it, and then they weigh you
without
out
it,
with
yeah.
you in it as
Well,
well.
Yeah,
and if
well,
the
I'm
ticket booth
thinking,
is right there, you
like,
can,
Right.
if you have a trailer on and you have to maybe show the attendant something, or you've got
Yeah.
tires
Yeah.
in, or something in the back of your car.
we should be able to build
Yeah.
A little
Yeah.
deck or
a little
something.
Yeah.
deck
Well,
beside
and
it.
that's why most of them are built so they can look down. So like if you're carrying tires in the rear end of your car
Yeah.
and you raise your
Trunk?
tailgate trunk, thank you. No, it's all tailgates now. Trunk.
Yeah.
They can see exactly what you've got.
And didn't TJ tell us that they had first built it in ground,
Yeah.
and then they had
Lots of rust.
lots of problems with it, and then they rebuilt it up because of the maintenance too. But I know they've got there's a platform with the little hut on it,
Yeah.
but I don't remember if that platform extends. So that's a good thing to keep in mind
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be that we think there's going to be one person there and two up above. Might be the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just don't know until you see how many people are all jammed up with tires and brush and got to get on the scale. And when it's new in particular, it's going to be confusing, no matter what we do,
Yep.
unless we do nothing.
Yep.
Let's not do nothing.
So that's the update.
Beautiful.
Any
That's
questions?
great.
I like it.
Send them along.
It's too bad it geographically lays out that way.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have.
Okay, stop sharing my screen somehow.
There's chats in there, Keats. I don't know if they're about this, but
I think there's still Jim's chats.
I think
Oh.
No, they're
I think a
doing-
new one
Maureen
came
wrote
They were
it
new.
after, I think.
Where am I?
If you can
Right
sit
there,
it
okay.
towards
Down.
the bottom, keep going down.
keep going. Right
Ah.
there.
Yeah.
This is Maureen D. Thank you, Steve, for your comments about the transfer station and its possible future modifications. This is Jim D. Have you considered using a chipped brush as either biochar or fuel for a power generator?
I have not been in any conversations where we've entertained that.
And I don't know if they make them in a small scale.
I think what, is it Ospey that was saying they just stockpile it
Yes, and they pay for someone.
And then-
And somebody comes and grinds it up and he sells
and
it.
he sells it because they have a volume.
They come and take. Yeah, they do. Right.
And that's something I think we should consider. Either you spend staff time and money and repair some chipper, or you just pay somebody to deal with it.
Right.
And it also, you've got, I mean, it is a hazard to be chipping brush.
Yeah.
Not that you can
Yeah.
prevent everything,
Right.
You can
but
just keep pushing it over with the
let
backhoe.
somebody with their own insurance and their workers'
Yeah.
comp and
Yeah.
everything deal with the.
Yeah.
So I've talked to TJ a little bit.
What's that?
Doesn't Richard Roberts?
Yeah, I think he's still.
He helps
me-
he helps when he has to.
I asked him, and he said, we don't need it. We got
Yeah.
plenty of chips.
Okay.
So that was good to know.
And right now the
Asked him
chipper's
if he
down,
suggested.
as far
And
as
if
I know.
somebody
Say it again.
even,
As far as I know.
yeah, and if somebody even came in and chipped it, if depending on what the cost was either way, maybe it would make sense for us to just keep the chips.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But somebody was telling us about a company that they come in and take it away, they chip it and use it and they sell it.
Yes,
So they
that's
take
what
it
they
for,
do in Ospey.
but they take it for free because they're making product.
No, the Ospey pays for it.
Ospey pays for
But
it.
the amount
But
they
not
pay
much.
factors in how much the grinder is getting to bring it to Berlin to burn it.
And if we're gonna
Oh,
have
I
a
see,
larger
yeah.
area to store the brush, we could, that's one of the big issues,
Yeah.
differences between Ossipee and
Right,
Tamworth.
they've
is
got
they
a
have a
big-
huge area to stockpile it.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
There's a couple things I want to mention that I was going to bring up in my Selectmen update, but it's about this, so it makes sense to just keep moving. We had a call, I believe, with USDA. I think it was Keats and myself and Willie, just to keep them up to speed, since we still have a $500,000 grant that we could tap into if we need it and want it. Just to keep them up to speed that, no, we're not moving the site, we're back to the original site. And also wanted to confirm that their grant could be used for equipment as well as construction. And they said, yes, it's for the whole project.
Great.
They said, if you want to pull equipment out and just have us fund equipment, they will fund 35% of the equipment. If you keep equipment with the construction, they'll pay 35% of that. So it makes sense to keep it all together.
Yeah.
So that's all right. The only downside is they get to come in and review everything. So we get their feedback on the construction, whatever it is. Not that I expect them to do anything with that, but a few more hoops to go through, but it makes sense to stay involved. They pay the last 35%. That's the only bad part about USDA. Whatever it is, they pay the last, the $493,000. We had a good meeting with Sanborn Head on the phone. They've got a couple of tasks. We had that meeting with USDA. We had a TSIC meeting on the 20th. There was some question at the TSIC meeting as to the future of the TSIC and Transfer Station Improvement Committee. What I told them is this body would like that group to stay in some form until the improvements are all made, whatever those improvements are. So, because there was some thought that, maybe since the plans have changed dramatically, they would no longer be needed or wanted. But I said, no, we still want you around to give us advice.
Well,
And
that's great.
timeline?
What I've been telling people is we will have a plan in place this year, and we will build it by the end of next year.
Okay, so a plan in place and a contract in place as well, or we lose the.
Yep. The ARPA. I think the only thing is the ARPA money.
Yeah.
And if we had to, I'd say let's build a bathroom or something this year if we had to use up the ARPA money. But since it seems to be going inside of a bigger building, you can't really split it out.
Yeah, I don't think it'll take long to get back from Sanborn Head about the size of the building, so that should give us a good direction.
How much
And it
ARPA
only
money
has
is
to be a
that?
contract.
100,000.
It only has to be a contract for ARPA. It can be built next year.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry.
So I think this has gone around so many times, is we have plenty of time to have a plan this year. And maybe we contract out a piece of it to use up the ARPA money.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe if the scale did end up going down bottom, maybe that's a portion that could be completed with the ARPA money if it wasn't like kind of
Phase 1.
affecting the.
Right.
But it would be nice to get a bathroom in.
Yes.
Yeah. I wish the simplest thing to do is build a bathroom on the back of the transfer station.
Yeah.
And you can do it now. It's just a little more complicated. It's a pump system.
Not much. A lot of houses have them.
And that may be better than reusing the existing office because now you're building something where nothing's happening.
Right.
You're not getting in the way of anything.
Right.
Yes, Becky.
What about the warrant article money? Because the warrant ends, that warrant article, are you gonna be able to extend it for a year?
We need to take a vote if we want to. We can take one vote and extend it for 1 year.
Right.
Okay.
So if people here think, let's forge ahead with the bathroom and use the ARPA money, get the bathroom, because that's the most important thing we're dealing with. I'd say the scale is second.
It's most urgent. Yeah.
Yeah. We just say, you know what? Let's build the bathroom on the back of the transfer station.
I'd like to see what Sanborn Head comes back with personally for building size, and then that should be a pretty easy determination.
Yeah. Okay.
And they're working on that now.
Yes. Yep. Okay.
I still have a camera for you when you need it. Car wash.
Moving on to
83,000.
the administrator report.
Okay, our bank balance is $2,296,579. I have been working on the transfer station. I've been working on the move to the nurses. What else have I been working on? I don't know. Every day there's a lot of little things that I work on, but the big projects are still the transfer station and
You mean staffing
and staffing
yeah.
and
So the transfer station supervisor was reposted. Was there a deadline in the posting?
yeah, I think it's June 7th, 6th,
Okay.
something like that.
Like end of next week or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Cross our fingers.
Rick thinks he might have somebody who would be interested in applying.
Moving on to the signature file. Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for May 9th, 2024, as well as the meeting minutes for May 16th, 2024, and the meeting minutes for May 23rd, 2024.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Fair, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the non-public meeting minutes under RSA 91-3:A:3 2A for May 23rd, 2024, sessions 1, 2, and 3, as well as the non-public meeting minutes under RSA 91-A:3 2A, May 16th, 2024, sessions 1 and 2.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Fair, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the payment in lieu of taxes agreement for the Agreement Housing Initiative of New England Corporation Tamworth Senior Housing Association.
And just to note, this is the one you discussed and took off the agenda.
Right.
It is Remick Acres,
Yeah.
and it is the tax rate times the assessment less the county and education portion. So it comes to about $7,700, if you would ask in the last meeting. So.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
You say yes?
Fair, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the timber tax yield for map 402 lot 13 in the amount of $1,287.25.
Second.
Roll call vote.
You say yes?
Fair, yes.
Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the application for current use assessment, map 414, lot 62.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the abatement for map 415, lot 14 in the amount of $250.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the intent to cut for map 421, lot 1, 2, and 5, sublot 1, access road, Taterboro Road, and Sandwich, as well as the intent to cut map 408, lot 53, sublot 1, access road, High Street.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the pilot letter for Remick Farm Museum.
And just as an FYI, although we don't have a written agreement with Remix, they have been sending in $12.50 every quarter, which they weren't able to do last year, and so the letter is thanking them for the effort.
Because remember, was it last year or the year before
Last year.
they
Last
said no,
year.
we're not paying you.
Yeah, they weren't in a position to apparently, so
Okay.
this year they are.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
$12 or $1,200?
1,250.
1,250. Yeah.
1,250.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the payroll manifest in the amount of $51,569.30.
Application for raffle permit.
Oh,
Well, you could second this one.
But I'll second
Yeah.
this.
Right.
roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Jumping back to make a motion to approve the application for raffle permit, Remick Country Doctor Museum and Farm.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. I make a motion to approve the accounts payable in the amount of $369,400.99.
I found it and Bruno's gone.
The road paving is is 80,000, and the school payment is 255,000. So that's the bulk of that.
Did you get a second?
I did, but
Yeah,
I'll second it again.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. Cash used year to date $4,592,862.
Before you go to your update, Jim and Maureen say, thank you all for your efforts on the town's behalf. We would all be much less without that effort.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to the select board update. Start with Richard.
We covered all the transfer station stuff. On the 17th, we had a good turnout for Glenn's retirement goodbye at the townhouse. So that was good. Cake was good.
Oh, speaking of which, we have, where'd it go?
It's right in front of your computer.
Oh, the plaque. To put on the transfer station, so
Yeah, that's great.
that's going out.
Cool.
Did the key come in?
No.
What does the plaque say?
The plaque says, in gratitude to Glenn Johnson for his dedication to the town of Tamworth, 1989 to 2024. 35 years.
That's all I got.
Oh, let's see. On the 21st, as you may recall, I volunteered to be the Tamworth Select Board representative to the age-friendly, Mount Washington Valley age-friendly community. And so I attended a Zoom meeting on the 21st to introduce myself and see what's going on. And it's pretty impressive. You should check out their website, MWV Age Friendly. So there were people working on everything from healthcare and housing to recreation and transportation, just all aspects of trying to make it an easier community to age in. And so I was pretty impressed, and I think Tamworth is doing a pretty good job because a lot of the things they were working on, we seem to already do.
Oh, nice.
I mean, we've got the TCNA, which
Yeah.
is a pretty big part, but our library is also very active and our rec department is in good shape, so there are some things we could work on, but it was interesting. I want to recall out to Steve Schaefer for a great presentation at the Memorial Day ceremony at the Four Corners. That was very good. And I won't be here for the next meeting.
Alrighty then.
Okay. So yeah, other than the transfer station stuff, I had the privilege of giving the opening speech and closing remarks at the Memorial Day event put on by the Veterans Committee, which I think they did a really nice job of. Had a singing group and some other speeches made, which I thought was a really nice time. But yeah, that wraps up. Oh, sorry I wasn't able to make Glenn's party. I was really bummed. I happened to be out of town that week, or that day. So really looking forward to it. So sorry, Glenn.
Echo, Glenn's party was nice. He got roasted, which was good, and people said sweet things about him, which was also good. So clearly this week was a lot of DOT. Reminder to the select board that LRPC's annual meeting is coming up on the 17th. And I think, Keats, you sent out a reminder that says whatever the deadline is to sign up for it.
Yeah.
And also a reminder that went out in case any committee members involved in land use in town are paying attention and want to go. The price is $50 a person, but we had budgeted last year to have some money to offset it so that people were not prevented from participating in what's really a celebration of all the land use planning work that people do over the course of a year as volunteers. And this is a nice way to celebrate. Menu looks great. The topic, the speaker is the mayor of Laconia, talking about the potential for the state school property, which is an insane property. Like,
beautiful.
It's
property.
Amazing. Yeah. So, and it's got a very interesting history. Like you hear about kind of like the end of its function, but its early history is fascinating. So the mayor's going to speak. Anyway, if anybody's interested in going, I'm going. I know there are a couple people from planning board. Just reserve your ticket and let me know, and we'll make sure we save seats so Tamworth can sit
And
together.
one person took us up on the ticket, so it's great.
That's great.
Yeah. I'll be going, just not sure if Gabrielle's going yet.
Okay, fun. And then the last thing is, that's the 17th. Monday the 17th, 5 p.m., Meredith, Church Landing. The planning board had its first work session on the build-out analysis, draft that came back from, I get the engineering, EB engineering? Don't quote me on the engineering. FEB, yeah. Thank you. The second work session, some feedback was given. They're going to tweak a little bit, come back, put in some different metrics and come back with a different kind of visual. The second work session is June 12th at 6, open to the public. It's, I'm still trying to wrap my head around how we'll use this information in the town without comprehensive land use regulations. But I'm sure there's a way that I'm not aware of yet. But it's pretty wild. They take demographic data and a bunch of other stuff and shove it onto a map that makes your head explode when you look at potential 200 years from now. So, it's like science fiction, you should come. That's it for me.
I was unable to make Glenn's party.
Good reason.
You had a good excuse.
Yeah, we were bringing our baby home from the hospital. Other than that, I don't really have an update. So, thank you, everybody. Is there any public input? Yes?
I was just wondering where we stand in contracting for our transportation of our waste.
Yes, the New Holland contract does need to be negotiated. We'll be putting it out to bid.
Oh, you are?
Yep.
Who are we putting it up to? Do we know that yet?
I'm not solid. I have 2 for sure that I want to put it out to bid to, and I'm looking for a 3rd.
Casella and Waste Management, or
Well, I'm apt to confirm Casella would still do it, but North Conway Incinerator and Waste Management.
Yeah.
That's, I need to confirm with Casella.
We contacted them, was it right before you came on the board?
no, I was on the board, I think.
And we didn't get any, Willie actually did it, no.
No, it would have been before I was on the
Yeah.
board. Then.
From North
No.
Conway or Casella?
Both,
Oh.
with no response.
I have good reviews from North
Oh, we had good
Conway
reviews,
and-
but they would never give us a price.
Okay.
So hopefully you'll get farther along with
Okay.
that.
All right. Any other public input? Here none.
Hi, this is Jim.
Hi, Jim.
Emery. Yeah, I just hope you get a lot of REM sleep in the next month or so.
And I just want to thank you all. This is Maureen. I think this has been a very strong meeting. You've all been working hard. I really appreciate Steve's ability to do the screen sharing thing regarding the transfer station map and discussion. Very, very helpful. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming again.
Thank you. Is there any other public input? Hearing none. A motion to go into non-public under RSA 91-A:3 2A. There's other sections, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
2 other
Session 1.
that are Cs.
And non-public under RSA 91-A:3 2C, Session 2, as well as RSA 91-A:3 2C, Session 3.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Did you say yes?
Barry, yes. Schaefer, yes.
Prentice, yes.
Roberts, yes. 5 yes, 0 no. We are now non-public at 7:54 p.m.
You go.